L'ambasciatore è connesso, però non so se riusciamo a farlo entrare in video. L'ambasciatore Mazzanti.
Allora probabilmente tra i partecipanti, gli attendees, sì, ora lo sposto. Un secondo che sto
Benissimo.
mandando
Perfetto.
la diretta su YouTube. Ok, è partita, perfetto. Lo cerco subito.
We are late because PSF is not there.
L'ho spostato.
PSF.
Claudia, when you want, we can start.
Okay, we can start. Massimo, thank you very much. And I apologize for being late, always some technical problems. But welcome to everybody to our second webinar on the Rwandan and Italian business-to-business exchange from another beautiful day in Kigali. Welcome back to those participants who joined us last week. We had more than 150 participants. It was very successful. And welcome to the new participants who joined us today for the first time. We are also a very, very big number. So this initiative is very successful. My name is Claudia Beretta, and I work on a project on private sector engagement at the Global Green Growth Institute in cooperation with the Environmental Management Authority and the Italian Ministry of the Environment. We heard last week from the Rwandan institution many interesting opportunities of investment and partnership in Rwanda, and with a particular focus on the green economy, which, as the ambassador François Garambe said, considering the world situation, green economy is the only option to follow. I will introduce the panel today, but let me first thank you, Massimo Zarrini and Gianfranco Belgrano, directors of the Italian business magazine, Africa Affari, for your valuable support and for assisting me as a moderator today. We have a very long list and I can acknowledge the presence of our dear ambassador, Massimiliano Mazzanti. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. The ambassador Massimiliano Mazzanti is based in Uganda, is the ambassador to Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. I will go very quickly through the list of our long list of participants, and then I will maybe just take 1 minute for each to introduce a little bit more. So we will have Alessandro Enginoli as president of the small industry of Assolombarda. Unfortunately, the CEO of the Private Sector Federation cannot be with us, but we have Yosam Giza, Director of Operations. I think he's coming. I see his name. Good, I see his name. Giovanni Davite is an entrepreneur working in Rwanda. Alberto Pisanti from Absolute Energy, Robert Baigamba for the wood industry, Marco Guartieri, Jean-Pierre Gazazira, Roberto Gabos, Giancarlo Tomelleri and Hermes Bampa for the agribusiness and food industry, Vicky Murabukirwa for the construction industry, Daniele Kirgren for tourism, sustainable tourism, and Diane for textile. I will introduce them a little bit wider later, but I will give now the floor to Alessandro Enginoli for some opening remarks. Alessandro Enginoli is the president of the small industry from Assolombarda, talking from Milan. Welcome, Alessandro. Please, you have the floor.
Ciao, Claudia. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks to Environmental Management Authority and GGGI. This project supported by the Ministry of Environment is a very important step for the collaboration between Italy and Rwanda. And thank you also to the business magazine Africa Affari. It's a pleasure to meet here, even if virtually, Yosam Giza from PSF. The dialogue between PSF and Assolombarda started almost 1 year ago when I first visited Rwanda. And as many of you know, in March this year, with the collaboration of each, the Italian Trade Agency and GGGI, we were ready to come with a delegation of almost 30 companies in Rwanda, but we had to cancel due to the well-known coronavirus. But I'm confident we can do it again as soon as possible. Probably in October, we are working on it. Quickly, I'll introduce Assolombarda. Assolombarda is let's say, the largest and the biggest industrial association in Italy. It's part of Confindustria. It insists in the territory of Milano, Monza, Brianza, Lodi, and Pavia. It represents almost 7,500 companies. I'm the president of the small industries. Small industries for us are the companies that goes from 0 up to 100 employees. And we represent almost 4,500 companies with a turnover of around 32 billions euro. This is what Assolombarda is. It's a perfect economic mix for doing business because we have almost everything. Italy is known for its high concentration of small and medium companies. This model is perfect for African needs. The Italian business model is a win-win model that creates local development also through job creation. I want to conclude just saying when I visit, when I was in Rwanda last year, I always read everywhere, visit Rwanda. I want to say to the Rwandan friends, visit Italy too, because we have so much business to do together. Thank you so much. And grazie, Claudia.
You have to open your mic, Claudia. Thank you, Mr. Anginoli.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alessandro, for these nice words. And I'm looking forward to organize a real mission from Assolombarda here in October, hopefully. I will now give the floor to, as I said, unfortunately, the CEO of the Private Sector Federation cannot be with us today because he was called by the Ministry of Commerce this afternoon to assist in a meeting regarding the issue of COVID-19. So it was an emergency regarding the borders with Rwanda. I give so the floor to Mr. Yosama Kiza, Director of Operations at the Private Sector Federation. Please, you have the floor. I think you have to try to unlock.
I'm trying to open the mic. Okay, the mic is open.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfectly. I asked you to start the video too, if it's possible, if you can.
Okay.
Great. Now we also see you.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you see me now? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear very well.
We can hear you. We can hear. We can't see you.
Okay. Can I go on?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
All right. Thank you so much. I think, Claudia, you've mentioned it right. The CEO is not being able to attend because of an urgent meeting, but he has delegated to me and he wished a very good meeting for all of us in attendance. To Mr. Alessandro Gino, President of the Small Industry for Assolombarda, distinguished guests, captains of industry, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, let me take this opportunity to thank Global Green Growth Institute, Italian Ministry of Environment, Land and Sea, as well as Rwanda Environmental Management Authority, REMA, and all stakeholders involved in making this happen. Thank you for having considered Rwanda to discover trade and green investment opportunities that could exist between Rwanda and Italy private sector. We are grateful for this platform that will contribute to this existing collaboration between our two private sector federations, but also specifically having reached out to PSF to be part of this high level business engagement between our private sector members. I'm sure both members will enjoy the fruitful benefits that will come along with this meeting and scheduled business to business meetings. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Rwanda is among the East African community composed of 5 countries that is populated by over 100 million people. This means that investing in Rwanda is an opportunity to export to the rest of the other members countries, as well as the Great Lakes regions. It goes beyond to also, we have borders with Congo, which is not yet part of the East African community, but has a population of over 80 million people. The Rwanda private sector is also keen in investments that should focus more on activities that are able to deliver green growth solutions, primarily on public health, air quality, environmental restoration, as well as creating sustainable jobs in many vulnerable sectors such as tourism, transport, agriculture, energy, and manufacturing. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we do understand that the purpose of these online workshops and B2B meetings is to explore and promote Rwanda's potential investment climate, facilitate green technology transfer, create business matchmaking between Italian and Rwandan private sector companies in the most important economic areas. In this regard, I urge our members here today to use the good contacts from the counterparts from Italy during the B2B meetings for the growth and development of your businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, with these few remarks, I wish a fruitful deliberations and enjoy the B2B meetings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just to explain now how we're gonna go through, we will have now another presentation. Then we will enter in some sectors. We will have 1 or 2 interventions for each sector: energy, wood industry, agribusiness. And please, you have the space. We will try to open a Q&A session very fast at the end of each sector presentation. You have your Q&A window for writing your question. And if you want to intervene by voice, you can communicate in the chat and we will take note of it. Okay, Claudia.
Yes, no, wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Massimo. I'll give the floor now to Giovanni Davite. Giovanni Davite is an entrepreneur. He's been working in Rwanda for, I don't know how many years, but for sure many years. He's an entrepreneur in pharmaceutical sector. So he will give us a perspective on the, as an Italian and as an entrepreneur working in Rwanda. And also as a worker active in the pharmaceutical sector. He was, of course, on the front line during this period of the pandemic. So he will give us his experience on this regard. Thank you, Giovanni. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Claudia. Shall I share my screen for the presentation, or you do it, Claudia?
I can do it for you.
Okay, Massimo. Thank you.
Already ready. So,
well, hello everybody. Un saluto particolare ai nostri amici italiani che sono nell'udienza e sperando che troverete questa presentazione interessante e soprattutto che un giorno verrete ad investire in Rwanda. So basically, our family has been in Rwanda since 1966. So we came from Congo actually. My father used to work for Unilever, and then he was posted in Rwanda. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So in 1969, Unilever decided to sell the business, which was a pharmacy basically in Kigali. And so the Vite family has owned this business since 1969. Now it's in the hands of the second generation, my brother and myself, my brother Giancarlo. So basically we have three types of activities: Pharma wholesale. So we import and distribute all sorts of products in the pharmaceutical and medical sector, diagnostics. So we represent exclusively or co-exclusively, all the big labs, going from Glaxo to Sanofi to AstraZeneca, Novartis. I mean, you name it. Most of the big names we represent exclusively or co-exclusively. We also have 4 retail pharmacies in Kigali. We have also an import and distribution business in agroveterinary products. So basically products for farmers that go from seeds to veterinary medicines and so on. And we also have a concept of franchise. So we have 11 franchisees disseminated in the country outside Kigali. So we have just over 150 employees. And last year our turnover was 12 million euros. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So, why are we here? Why are you here? Why Rwanda? I could say the reasons for coming and investing in Rwanda are as follows. First of all, it's a stable country politically, strong leadership with vision. And I think that, when you're in business and you come from outside, you want to know that you're moving into a stable country. It's a very dynamic and fast-growing economy. The last year I think we had a growth of almost 9%. Basically, over the last 10 years or more, the economic growth has been above 6%, consistently between 6 and I think that we've reached 10% at a certain moment. It's a very much pro-business, pro-investor attitude, that is for sure. You can open a business in one day, and we have in Rwanda there is RDB, Rwanda Development Board, that is really geared towards attracting and facilitating things for investors. So it's again, very proactive from that point of view. It's a plaque tournante. It's a French word. I couldn't find the equivalent in English for Central and East Africa, as the gentleman from Private Sector Federation already mentioned. That we have just with the bordering countries, we have over 200 million people that you can reach, and if you include, the countries that are part of the East African community, Kenya and South Sudan, you add 65 million people. So you're not far from 200 million people, very active part of the world. Economy is growing. And don't forget there is also Ethiopia a bit further north, which is not really part of East Africa, but it's definitely becoming a powerhouse in Africa and in the world. There are good airline connections. There is going to be this huge airport being built south of Kigali, and Qatar has invested in this. There is a phenomenal network of directly from Kigali, you can reach something like 22 other destinations in Africa, and then other destinations all over the world, Europe, Brussels, London, directly. You have Tel Aviv, you have Dubai, you have Mumbai. You have Guangzhou. There's going to be New York in a near future. You know, obviously all that, you know, COVID-19 permitting, you always have to put this proviso at the moment, but it will come. It will come. You know, there is also other major airlines flying regularly to Rwanda, if not every day, at least 4 or 5 times a week. As in Brussels, KLM, Qatar Airways, Ethiopian, Turkish, Kenya Airways. So it's and you know, and this has allowed the country to become a real major hub in the convention. What do you call it? The you know, events and so on industry. And you know, last but not least, it's a country that is beautiful. Kigali is a very pleasant city, good weather. You know, we are at 1,500 meters. So it's, you know, we're just 2 degrees below the equator, but you know, it's basically we have rainy season and dry season. At the moment, we are in dry season. So sometimes it can get a bit cold, but you know, it's not, you don't have heating, and if the building or the house where you are that you have is well designed, you don't even need air conditioning. So I'm sorry. So really, yeah, a very good place to also live. Next slide, please. So what are the opportunities in these countries, according to me? I think that this country has tremendous potential in tourism, especially in ecotourism. And indeed, it's already a lot of people have invested and are investing in that sector. So if you are in that sector, I would encourage you to definitely explore what the possibilities are. Manufacturing for sure, and targeting, you know, Rwanda and neighboring countries, as we mentioned before. You know, over 200 million people around Rwanda, in a kind of haven of stability. You know, just next door we have Goma and Bukavu in Congo, and these are, you know, very. I mean, Congo is always a strange country, but I mean, you have to remember that Congo remains a rich country. There is a lot of money there, and I believe that there are a lot of opportunities there. And if you come and manufacture in Rwanda, whatever you manufacture, you should think about definitely Congo, and also, you know, the other neighboring countries as a potential outlet for your manufacturing facilities. And then export. I think that Rwanda has a tremendous potential for high-end products in agriculture, and maybe also in you know, in textile, and unfortunately, because Rwanda is landlocked, so some cheaper goods would be difficult to export, because it would be difficult to be competitive. But if you aim towards high-end products, where, you know, in whatever sector, and then you export them by plane, then I think that there is a very good opportunity. Mining is definitely, mining to me is, I keep believing that, you know, when God created our planet, or, you know, or whatever, I don't see why he put all the minerals in Congo and nothing in Rwanda. You know, I keep on giving the example of Israel, that, you know, in the Middle East, they kept on saying, oh, you know, Israel doesn't have any oil and gas. Well, nowadays, Israel, they discovered among the biggest gas reserves in the Middle East, you know, offshore. I think that there is a tremendous potential in Rwanda, you know, rare earth, and you name it, you know, the 3 T's, tin, tantalum, and tungsten. Yeah, there is a lot to do, but unfortunately, very little systematic exploration has been done. There is another sector, it's ICT, and I didn't write it down here, but it's startups. Rwanda is being used by a lot of people that want to try concepts in Africa. And because it's easy to start a business and so on, so people say, okay, let's go and try the concept in Rwanda, and then if it works, we move to other places. I mean, I can just mention one of the famous ones is Zipline, that drops emergency medicines, they start in Rwanda. There is Africa Health Networks for dialysis. I mean, there are all sorts of Kasha, which is another startup that started in Rwanda and now they moved to Kenya. So it's very much to seem a model that a lot of people are following up. And then in the future, I mean, I know that Rwanda, there have been talks and that Rwanda becomes a kind of Switzerland stroke Mauritius of Africa. I know for sure that there is more and more the African elite, when they come to Rwanda and they see how clean, organized, safe, etc., it is, they say, I'd like to be. So they, they buy properties here. Some of them, they even send their families to live here because they live in not very pleasant countries, and so it's becoming a kind of Dubai, Switzerland of Africa. So yeah, next one, please. So this is something I posted. Well, last year in November, we celebrated our 50th anniversary of Kifarma. So this is something how can you succeed in Rwanda? I posted that in my LinkedIn page. And basically my advice is you have to be patient and perseverant. In order to achieve that, you need to have staying power. So, which is basically another way of saying if you come to do business in Rwanda, do a quick buck. Rwanda is not for you, and you're not for Rwanda. There are other places like you can go to Congo, not, sorry for naming it, but, then it's a totally different environment. You can make a lot of money very quickly, and vice versa. You can lose it also very, very quickly. Rwanda is definitely not that type of environment. It's a country where rules matter. And therefore, if you come here, I strongly advise to study the rules well and don't say, oh, but no, the rules are there, understand them. Don't try to take shortcuts. That's something that is not really appreciated here. Quality, it's, the Rwandan consumers is a very, it's not easy to introduce a new product or new service here. People are very suspicious, but once you have gained the trust of the people, then you're in, and it's, it's not to praise ourselves, but, Kifarma is a very well-known brand here. You just mentioned, we have built that with, on the back of quality over years and years and years. And last but not least, Rwanda is a country with a vision. Change comes at a neck-breaking pace. A lot of people see that as a threat. I see that as an opportunity. One thing that I can tell you is that once Rwanda, they say, we are going to do that, maybe they are not on time. Sometimes they're not on budget, but I mean, I don't think that, the rest in Europe or the rest of the world, we have lessons to give on that subject. But they get it, when they said, we're going to do a conference center, hey, boom, there it is. We're going to do the new airport, boom, there it is. They are talking about having a railway connecting Rwanda to Tanzania. It's going to happen. When they say it happens, they mean it. It's not just vain words. So voilà. If you feel threatened by that, then it's not your place. So last one, we go quickly on. I want to briefly give a word on COVID-19. Basically COVID-19. I think it's a reflection of, again, how the country is managed. I think it's one of the best countries where they've managed the crisis extremely well. The numbers are there, you can see. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by countries where I think it's out of control. And of course, this lockdown has had an economic impact. Last slide, please. So I release you. I'm also vice president and co-founder of European Business Chamber. So if any of you want to come in the future, basically we have created this business chamber to help well, first of all, to help European-owned businesses in Rwanda, with advocacy with the authorities and the opportunity to do networking. And finally, for potential investors like you, we want to be able to offer market intelligence and direct people towards professional services. Well, okay, grazie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davite. Sorry for the message, but we have to be very strict with the.
Massimo. Yeah. There are some questions. Actually, there are some very specific questions. So I would say that for general inquiries, it's okay to do some questions. But when we are very specific, it's better to send an email directly to the person afterwards, and we will share all the contacts. Okay. And I'm referring to actually to the question of Madame Marie Clarisse. Maybe she can send an email afterwards to Mr. Davite.
All right. Giovanni, Davide, thank you so much. I think that as a part of the international community living in Rwanda, we really share your vision and your point of view on how we live in Rwanda. I think we are becoming all very proud of this country. We go to the next speaker, Alberto Pisanti. He's the founder of Absolute Energy. He established a mini grid in a rural village in Rwanda, successful. So Alberto, I would like to ask you about your experience on how you managed to achieve this activity, and if you found any challenges in this, and if you have any suggestions of for someone who wants to go into this kind of activities in Rwanda, what would you suggest? Thank you, Alberto Pisanti, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, everybody, and good afternoon. I'm delighted to share my experience here on what we do in Africa in general, and what we've done in Rwanda. As a quick introduction, probably if you wish, I could just go quickly through a few slides that I prepared, and very quickly, and then I can answer your questions if you agree.
It's great. Do you manage to open the slide, or do you need?
I think that you host disable participant screen sharing.
Okay, just let me one moment. I'll make you co-host.
Oh, okay.
Now you should share your screen.
Okay. Okay.
That's great. It works.
Here we go. So basically, very quickly, our approach to to energy and rural electrification is we'd like to say that our approach is 4D, because we definitely believe that we have to give decarbonization is our main goal. Decentralized energy is the future. Digitalization is a process that where Rwanda is definitely at the forefront. But all this, as the 4D is, if you wish, the central part is development. Everything is energy is not per se, but is just a mean to development. So really, what we want to do is we're not looking at energy as something that is there to take a shock, but to make a shock, to make a shock to the economy and to the local economy in particular. In fact, it's funny that if you look through, for example, the nexus that is between agriculture, energy and food and water, you see that in the US in the past century, we had the same pattern. I mean, this is an article that we found that where, I mean, it was actually encouraged to give more power to the farmers. And Rwanda, as clearly a country where agriculture is probably much more developed than in other countries, and this is closing the circuit between agriculture, energy, water is the way forward for the country. Clearly, we all know that the nexus there is fundamental, and is the only way to ensure sustainable development. Agriculture, you know, has clearly to evolve beyond subsistence, where Africa, as we know, as 80+% of sub-Saharan labor force is employed in farms, and 70% of farm work is still done manually. So 90% of agriculture has no artificial irrigation, and notwithstanding Africa has 50% plus of the global uncultivated arable land, it still imports 66% of the food it consumes. So there's a lot to do, and agriculture and agribusiness are together projected to be clearly a 1 trillion industry in Africa by 2030. To do so, clearly you need machinery, you need transformation, you need to reduce waste, and to clearly work in as much as possible locally, also to avoid the urbanization of the cities, and then therefore the abandonment of the rural areas. That's why we believe that our concept of basically rural electrification, decentralized generation is key, especially in countries like Rwanda. Our concept is, this is a picture of our mini grid, our first mini grid in Uganda. Actually, this is in Chitobo, Lake Victoria, where we have not only invested, this is a 230 kilowatt and 520 kilowatt hours mini grid, and it is basically powering this small island with roughly 3,000 people, 600 connections. And but what we wanted to show you in this picture is that one part of our business is clearly the plant, but the most important part is all the rest. I mean, what we invested into is in a poultry farm, in an ice making machine, in water purification, in cinemas, in laundry services, in connection, in fish processing, milling, because this is the way to close the circle, really. I mean, in the end, what we are experiencing, and we're experiencing everywhere, is that the problem is mainly with consumption. The level of consumptions of customers that are not accustomed to using energy is close to zero. So once you bring power to residential homes, basically what they do is power eventually a few lights at night, eventually charge a phone, and that's it. And clearly, this is basically not making a huge difference, and not explaining the full potential, exploiting the full potential of what they could do with productive energy. Because productive energy can power new businesses and can actually create new economy, and then clearly move on the ladder from poverty to clearly something much more interesting. And our ideal and our credo is to actually develop together with our customers, because if they grow, we grow, and we grow together. And basically our vision is to increase the average revenues or income of the people from the whatever $30 per month average to the 300. If we manage to do so by investing in other business, then the business will go in the money. Otherwise, this is an option that is not sustainable in the long term. This is clearly doing, I mean, money are there, and there's a lot of financing available to do well, and sustainable financing is becoming mainstream, clearly. And and these are a few pictures, and this is another concept in another island in Lake Victoria in Uganda, where we thought of building a village where we can put actually create a small market or ecosystem in the island, and a few other things. And what I wanted to show you here is, for example, is what I meant by doing business together with the local community. The example in Chitobo is that before our intervention, basically, the fishermen had to do a 6-hour round trip to the nearest shore to get the ice, 3 tons of ice a day. We built a 10 tons ice making machine, and then Chitobo became a net exporter of ice, and they saved 6 hours a day round trip. And if you look at how this basically turns into what's the effect of introducing a new business in a village, this is basically the level of the residential demand up until November 18. When we put the ice machine in place, basically we have the level of demand tripled or was multiplied by 4. And when the plant the machine was interrupted for maintenance, we had a drop back here. So basically the message is key. If you want to use the full power of a mini grid, then you need to attach to it clearly new businesses. And I think that this is the most interesting proposition that we bring to governments, because if we get concessions on new villages to electrify, then clearly we don't bring just energy, like, for example, solar home system providers can do and bring in some lights, but we can bring development. This some other pictures, and again, this is I would say that the rest of I don't want to take too much of the time. So going back to okay.
You should close the share.
Yeah, which is was stop sharing. Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what are our experience in Rwanda? We came to Rwanda, I think, in 2015-16. We have we plan to electrify a couple of villages in rural Rwanda. In the southern part, I mean, Rutenderi and Gatochi are the ones, and basically we decided to go with a below 50 kilowatts, and we followed the process. I have to say that clearly doing business in Rwanda is very efficient. The coping with RDB is to incorporate new companies is very efficient, and we basically the mini grid in Rutenderi went operational in December 18, and we've been operating it since. Our experience is similar to Uganda, where it's the most important thing is coping with the average income of people. So when average income is still low, clearly you cannot expect customers to dedicate more than 10-15% of their average income to pay electricity bills. We try to keep our price as low as possible to encourage consumptions, but most importantly, we're encouraging new businesses. So these are rural villages as opposed to islands. So agriculture is clearly the key, and we are basically stimulating new businesses in terms of food transformation, rice husking, maize milling, etc., in order to increase the value added through energy of the products that are produced locally, and to help them actually sell it at a premium to the market. Because this is the way that we believe, as I said, is the future, rather than opening new restaurants, new bars, new saloons, which definitely is business. But as long as it is a business inside the same community, the money are just turning around in circle inside the community. There's no new money coming into the village. So the only way for a village to develop is to produce value added internally and export it, and have new fresh money coming in. So I don't know whether Claudia, you want me to give you some other information about our experience.
I don't know if there are any questions.
There are a lot of people that want to enter in contact with you, Alberto. So if you are okay, we can share your contacts with them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And,
with pleasure.
From
Yes.
Italy and from Rwanda, so there is a lot of interest.
Yes, Massimo, there's a question also about textile, but we are going to talk about this sector afterwards. We have a company, I think, which will say something. There is also
Yes.
interesting questions about the health sector, but I don't know if we have time. Just tell me. Actually, it's for Mr. Davita.
Can we try if it's a quick one?
Well, it's about the health sector in Rwanda. What kind of facilities we have in Rwanda, and as for the pharmaceutical and medical machinery industry, is the country able to produce drugs and machinery, or is all imported? I don't know if Mr. Davita can answer in very few words.
Maybe we can keep the question for later. Maybe it's not here. But thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Alberto Pisanti, for your for sharing your experience. The government of Rwanda has a very ambitious plan to reach all the population with energy by 2024. So the 100% of the population, but he wants to do this keeping the 48% with the renewable energy. So I think there is a big opportunity in this sector to work and support the government in this in this direction.
Maybe just one last thing that I forgot to mention, which is I think very important. I've been attracted by the government statements and in general by the needs of the entire continent of having a new, efficient and sustainable way of being electrified. But on the other hand, what has to change in my views in a way, or is that as long as the bulk of the most interesting villages and areas are electrified by grid extension, then what is left to the private sector, if you wish, and to a decentralized generation, risks to be market failures. So, and if you actually do business in a market failure, i.e., in a village which is too small to be really developed, then clearly this does not have the entire potential to grow. And so electrifying a village of 3,000 people as opposed to electrifying a village of 30,000 people, and a completely different destiny. So if you really want, and my provocation would be to invite the government of Rwanda to think about having EDCL to basically decide on trying this new electrification and approach by on a sizable village that where new businesses can be really built and can flourish because of the numerosity of the market, without relegating it only to small villages that are not touched by the grid.
Thank you, Alberto. I think that this was very useful. If I can proceed to the next sector, I have to apologize with Mr. Robert Baigamba because I have two speakers that have to leave, and unfortunately we are a little bit out of time. So I will give the floor to Marco Gualtieri. He's the founder of Seeds and Chips, and he will tell us about his ambitious project. Please, Marco, you have the floor.
Thank you, Claudia. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. And Seeds and Chips is a platform working on food innovation from farm to fork. So I was very inspired by Alberto Pisanti. Everything he said inspired me. We are 100% aligned. And we started working to bring our platform, our ecosystem in Africa a few years ago, just at the beginning of our journey. And we are supposed to be in Kigali in November from the 3rd to the 5th with our summit that is the center of our platform. Unfortunately, I don't think we will do what we expected to do because of the COVID, but our plan are not changed because of the COVID. So we are starting to do something in November from the 3rd to the 5th. So I ask everyone to mark your agenda. Don't take any kind of engagement at that time. We want to bring Kigali, Rwanda, and the Africa at the center of the sustainable development in that dates. We are fixing the way in which we will do that, and but we will do that because what I've heard before from Giovanni and Alberto. Giovanni inspired me because I've been few times in Rwanda, just 4 times, but I felt in love with the country. And because of my friend and partner, Dennis Treo, who is connected with us, I understood the power of Rwanda, and Giovanni gave me the confirmation of that. Alberto, and I appreciate he used in his presentation that also he used the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, that are our compass, our metrics for what we are doing. So we strongly believe that Africa is the place to be for the sustainable development. Something that it doesn't represent only a business opportunity, is something we have to move forward, and Africa has to play a leading role, and Rwanda can play the leading role in this development. So Seeds and Chips is a global brand, thanks to President Obama, who decided to join us, giving his first speech after his presidency in Milano in 2017. But we are not just an event. We are a platform to bring development on the field. And what we want to do in Kigali and Africa is really concrete. So Claudia asked me to be very, very short, and I have to respect her request and the timing. But please mark your calendar, November the 3rd to the 5th. We have to join all our forces and efforts to start a new era in Africa based on innovation on sustainable development, where, as Alberto said, everything is connected. The starting point is agriculture, but agriculture is strictly connected with energy and water. So we are the center of a human life. We are the center of the biggest industry in the world from an economic point of view. In innovating this industry and this sector that is strictly interconnected is not only an urgency, but is a huge business opportunity for many entrepreneurs, for many and all industries in the world. And Rwanda can play the leading role. Thank you.
Marco, thank you very much. We are really looking forward to this important appointment in November. I'm sure it will be very successful, even with the pandemic. We will manage, and GGGI is ready to support you and to work with you in this with this important and ambitious project that you have. Now I apologize again, I cannot respect the agenda, but I'd like to go in construction industry now, because our friend will have to leave soon. So I give the floor now to Vicky Murabukirwa. He's a senior partner of Duo Corporation, PCD, and Duval Great Lakes. And he will tell us about some very important project in Kigali in construction. And please, Vicky, now you have the floor.
Grazie, Claudia. Let me start by buon pomeriggio, cari amici di Rwanda. So, yeah, ciao, amici. Yeah, it's really a pleasure. It's so glad to talk to you today and share with you my personal insight and experience about doing business in Rwanda. I'm very happy to speak with you because I love Italy. I love Italian style. I love the great quality standards of Italy products. And I've enjoyed my time in every Italian city that I visited. Milano, Pesaro, Bologna, and so on. So many thanks to Mrs. Claudia Beretta and all the organizer for inviting me. I strongly hope that this webinar will be a good start for business leaders from Italy and Rwanda to connect and develop win-win opportunities. I really want to thank Giovanni Davide, because I think that I just have to go straight to my project because he has already talked about Rwanda more than I could have done. And thank you very much, Giovanni. I don't know if he's still here. It's really amazing to hear you talking about Rwanda, even more than some Rwandan. So well, I'm, as Claudia says, my name is Vicky Murabukirwa. I'm a civil engineering by professional. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Duval Great Lakes. Duval Great Lakes is a subsidiary of the Group Duval. We've been established a few months ago. It's a French company, the group. So and we are here in Rwanda as a developer. Construction industry is a key sector and potential driver of future economic growth. The sector contributed 647 billion francs, Rwandan francs, of course, to the national GDP in 2019. as my friend Giovanni mentioned, the sector grew by between 6 and 10% of sustained expansion in private sector, construction, and public sector. Rwanda has taken a proactive approach and put environment and climate change in all policies, programs, and plans with all the different initiatives in place. The plan is to make Rwanda a developed, climate resilient, and low carbon economic by 2050, according to the study the experts are doing. The construction industry doesn't not fall behind on that plan. Poor air quality, as we said before, ventilation and lighting are some of the common problems in non-green building. And the government is encouraging construction companies to use processes that are environmentally responsible and resource efficient throughout a building life. This cycle from design, construction, operation. So I will ask maybe Claudia to start by our last project. It's a BPR PCD building. Last year we just finished 15th store building, office and retail, around 19,000 square meters. It's on the CBD of the town. And on that project, of course, we've tried to use green by recycle the wastewater and then using LED lighting. But now, as Claudia mentioned, we are starting a huge project just next to the convention center. It will be a project complementary to the convention center. We have been given the plot just next to the convention. It's around 26,000 square meters. For those who knows Rwanda, it's the former minister's office. So we are going to build 140 service apartment rooms, and it's a mixed use by having a cinema and virtual reality spaces, bowling, children area, playground, nocturnal hotspot, and this is the project actually. And we are going to have two anchor tenants. One is Carrefour. Carrefour is going to be our anchor tenant with a brand called Odalis for the apartments, and some shops, of course. The idea is to have a duty-free mall where all, of course, after the COVID-19 pandemic, we are hoping and we are sure that market sector and tourism will kick off. And we are planning with all delegates in the convention center, they will be coming in this mall by shopping duty-free, using their badge and their passport. Of course, you know, today there's a lot of embassies in Rwanda. They are going also to shop duty-free in this wonderful project. Of course, our project, we'll be using a green component with wastewater recycling system, natural ventilation, eco-friendly lighting for optimal health and well-being, solar equipment, etc. So, you can see that on top we'll be using some solar panels so that we are in line with the policy our government has have put on the green component. Well, I think that I'm not going to take very long. I can't. I would like to hand my small presentation by an opening invitation to all Italian businessmen and businesswomen, of course, because I can see that there's no gender balance on this group. Just Diana and and Claudia. Please next time bring more gender balance to the webinar, and so that we can truly see how to call you in Kigali as soon as the COVID-19 travel bans resume. So welcome to Rwanda, and let's do business together. Feel free to contact me directly. Thanks, Claudia, to share my contacts. I will be happy to answer or to share my experiences and doing business in Rwanda. I can't say much because Giovanni Davite has already really been the ambassador of RDB. So thanks a lot, and please see you very soon in Kigali.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Claudia, just to say that from your office, I think someone shared on the chat a very interesting link. I'm talking directly to Italian companies. For more information on green building minimum compliance, there is a website with GGGI.org. You can see the link in the chat. It could be interesting for construction companies.
Yeah. We've been in contact. Actually, our project. We have partners. The government is a partner on our project, and they've been contacting us through REMA and rural housing, and we hope that with this wonderful platform we will be having more support in green area, because we really need it. And another thing I forgot to mention, I've been in contact with many Italian companies who wants to come to do business in Rwanda, in ceramic, in construction material. I really encourage them to come like investor, not just coming by selling their product and take the money and go. I've been given some tips to some Italian brands to come and do a synergy with us who has projects. We have a lot of projects in Rwanda where I've been given to some supplier guys to come with their products. For example, our big mall, to say, I'm going to bring all the ceramic, all the tiles in indoor and outdoor, so that it comes like a share on the project. With a BOQ, we can know that maybe this material will take, let's say, 20% of the 100% of the investment. And with RDB, as Giovanni Davite mentioned, in one day we open a company with Italian manufacturer, where they have those shares, so that they're coming as an investor, and then from that project they can easily now open a showroom and now start selling for other projects.
Great, Vicky. So you know, we always you know, the meaning also of this webinar, of this kind of meeting, but also, for example, of our work with a magazine and our products, is to say this: just not just trade, but enter in partnership with also with the private sector there. And Rwanda is the unique country probably in the continent for doing that, because it's a perfect climate for ease of doing business and all this stuff, you know. So it's very, very good from you, and your invitation is quite well received and strong. Claudia, I think we have to go on with the program.
Yes, Vicky, thank you so much for presenting and share with us your ambitious project. Thank you so much for mentioning the greening aspect of your project. And thank you to my colleague Brigitte, who mentioned the green building compliance system. With GGGI, we worked very hard with the government to establish this system, and that has to be considered in the drawing and the designing by developers when they deal with constructions. But Vicky, you are most welcome to come to our office, and we can elaborate more on this, because it's very important, and it's a great achievement also for the government. Now I thank you. Our next speaker had to be patient, but now we go into the wood industry, and I give the floor to Robert Baigamba. Robert Baigamba is the owner of Manumetal. It's a leading local furniture manufacturing company that started in 1967, and the CEO and partner of Africa region of Center for Global Sports. He was also the president of the Private Sector Federation, and in the public sector has been a cabinet minister in charge of youth, sport, and culture, among other activities. But please, Robert, you have the floor. I actually don't see him on the screen.
No, it was in.
Yeah.
Okay, probably we
maybe yes. Meantime, we go back to the sector of agribusiness and food industry, and I will give the floor to the managing director of Yak Fair Trade, Janvier Gazazira, who will talk about his activity. Please, Janvier, explain what you do, and what are the needs, on your opinion, in the agribusiness and food industry sector, and please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Claudia. As you said very well, I'm Gassasira Janvier. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
We can, now we see you also.
Oh, okay. So I'm in agribusiness for the last 20 years. I created my company, Yak Fair Trade Limited, in 2010. Before I was working for the Ministry of Agriculture. And we basically, we are a small and medium enterprise. And we do basically two value chain. One is a staple food. In a staple food include maize, soybeans, sorghum, and beans. And on the other part, on the other value chain, we do meat and meat products. We have some butcher shops in Kigali, and we have also a meat processing facility, a warehouse with a capacity of 5,000 metric ton. The way we operate, we have seen that there is a challenge with smallholder farmers. For your information, Rwanda has over 80% jobs created from the sector of agriculture. And having a population of 12 million to feed, that's already an opportunity. So therefore, there are so many opportunities in investing in agribusiness at all levels of the value chain, production level, processing level, seed industries, transportation, processing. So in those different fields, there are so many opportunities. And for us, we are only covering, as I said, 2 value chain. We buy commodities from smallholder farmers. We are working with 54 cooperatives, totalizing around 65 smallholder farmers. And Rwanda has created in 2006 a program called One Cow Program per Poor Family. And the government has distributed over 500,000 cows in a solidarity chain. So what we do, we buy from the smallholder farmers the bulls for fattening. Then after fattening, we take them for the slaughterhouse, and with slaughter we start cutting and distributing meat and meat products in a different hotels, restaurants, and butcher shops. The opportunities in agriculture start with challenges. We have 2 main seasons in this country. The season A starts from September to February. And by the time farmers started to harvest, it's already raining. So when it's raining, the challenge for the farmers is mainly how to avoid to lose production. This requires the post-harvest techniques. And those post-harvest techniques, if you don't use them, there's a high risk of losing production. And therefore, we was lucky to import a good machine, a dryer from Milano in Agrimec. And that dryer is helping in reducing the post-harvest losses, because we buy directly from the farmers, from the farm, and we start drying, even if it's a raining season. And we can dry 9 tons per batch, which is still a very small volumes. I know there are also other companies doing some drying, but considering the production of grains in Rwanda, the investment in drying system is still very low. And therefore, there's an opportunity to invest in that particular area. Personally, our company has intention to purchase a second drying machine with more capacity of at least about 25 metric ton at a go, and this will help in contributing to reduce the post-harvest handling, and we we can keep buying from the smallholder farmers and support them in reducing the post-harvest handling. Opportunities are also seen in the technology, innovations, and solution to the challenges. Rwanda, as it has been very well said, it has a very good or a uniqueness environment in terms of facilitating investment. It has also growth. When there is a growth, there is also a need to feed the population, not only in Rwanda, but also in the whole region. And Rwanda is very keen on quality of food. Recently, the government has created the Rwanda Food and Drug Authority, which control every processed food to make sure that there is no risk of contamination for the consumers. However, considering the food industry in Rwanda, there is still a need of know-how in food processing. There's still a need of different input, like machines. We need also to have some manufacturers of some small equipment. You can imagine, I do have the meat cutting machines. So when I need to, when the sea is broken, I have to import from Italy the sea from Italy or Europe. But why not the company from Italy should not come to Rwanda and start the manufacturing of those equipment, even machines from Kigali? And I'm sure most of the food processing industry in Rwanda, they are doing the same as Yak is doing in terms of getting those equipment from abroad. And therefore, opportunities in investing in a food industry is huge. And as you can see, when there is a growth for the last 5 years, around 9%, there's also a well-being of the population to who cares about the quality of the food to be eaten. And therefore, I know the Italian kitchen is very known in terms of proposing different varieties on table. I remember my visit to Venice, which is a very beautiful city I do like in Italy because I passed holidays over there, and Milan when I went to buy the dryer. So the Italy is on our heart as well as Rwanda is on your heart, and we can make a win-win situation by working together, by working on opportunities we do have here and there, and then come up with a win-win situation.
Thank you very much, Janvier. May I have a question for you, and some people
yes, go ahead.
Your contact. I have a question for you. Do you think that have you seen in Rwanda, have you experimented what in other African countries is happening during the COVID lockdown period and all this stuff of growing local content producing in agribusiness for local market, with the hiccups that the importation market has experimented in these months? Have you seen growing the attention to local production for local market?
During this COVID,
You are muted.
Yes, I said, can you hear me?
Yes.
I said during this lockdown, the agribusiness was remain as an essential business, and it's keep going on. However, at this stage, without any proper feasibility studies done on a growth of the agribusiness during this last 3-5 months, I cannot risk myself of saying that there is a growing. However, what I can confirm, people in this business kept working because it's an essential business for human beings and animals and inputs. And the thing is, smallholder farmers have been requested to keep producing to make sure that food security is ensured. But at the same time, the government allowed importation of food from neighboring countries because the traffic of people at the borders was not allowed, but traffic of goods, trucks, and cargo kept coming in.
Okay, thank you very much, Janvier.
You're welcome.
I just want to say to Mantoe Pakati, that is a colleague, a journalist from Interpress Service News, a great and historical source of news for everybody, and one of my preferred, that we saw your question, we will answer later. I think that we are going to finish the agro sector. Claudia, what do you think?
I think that if the two following speakers we give a flash, but really a flash, otherwise we have really to interrupt with agribusiness. I will give the floor to Roberto Gabos, but please, and then to Giancarlo Tomelieri and Hermes Bampa. So please, Robert Gabos,
yes.
Sales Manager, Detergent Division from Desmet Balestra, Italian company, please.
Okay. First of all, thanks for the invitation. And if you have an opportunity to share with us our activities and potential cooperation with the local investors. Can you show the pictures, please?
If you can start talking, I'm going on it. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Desmet Balestra Group is the result of the merging of the best-in-class companies in their field. It's possible to see the presentation.
Sorry.
Later.
You go on. I will arrive. I need 2 minutes to open it.
Yes.
Okay, we are here. Okay.
Okay. Okay, you can go on, please. We are the world leader in the developing of engineering, supply technology, processing plant, and proprietary equipment. Go on. I show you our numbers. The group born in 1946, 500 million of euro of turnover, 1,200 peoples, and working in all our offices, and 25,000 of process plants or process unit installed all over the world. Okay. The group is composed of these companies: Belgian company, Desmet. Desmet is the company specialized in the design and supply of a processing plant for the production of oil seeds and edible oils. And with our own technology can process all raw materials, of which the most popular are soybeans, palm oil, sunflowers seeds, rape seeds, groundnuts, and cotton seeds. And also we have a department for the development of all the oleochemical products as the fatty alcohols, fatty acid, glycerin, and methyl ester. The second important company is Balestra. Balestra is a world leader in the design supply of detergent plant, plant for the production of formulated detergent, solid and liquids, surfactants used in the detergents, raw material for detergent industry, and also inorganic products as sulfuric acid, phosphoric acid, or other product, different kind of fertilizer potassium and phosphoric based used in the agriculture. The other Italian company is Mazzoni. Mazzoni is from more than 70 years, is recognized as the most important supplier of plants for production of all kinds of soap, starting from oil or fatty acid. You see on the pictures the different activities. In addition, we have also Resdown. Resdown is a company that specialized in the construction of presses and then utilized to produce oil from feeds. And the last one is a stools for the production of agri-food or animal feed. This is a very short presentation. What we can do for local investor, we can support for any feasibility study. We can supply high performance and reliability plants. We can search and support for find the financing of a project. Our plant can guarantee the best cost and product performance ratio. And also the approach, our usual approach is an environmental friendly design with the optimization of a plant emission in agreement of the more strictly local rules. At the end, our activities is also focused on the training of the operators, and also important for to keep in good condition the plant is the after sales activities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
A very flash question, but yes or no. You are ready to enter in partnership or to invest in Rwanda as a company?
No, our company usually make a cooperation, but only the supply, not to invest directly in the country.
Perfect, great. Okay. We have a flash, but really, please, Hermes and Giancarlo, very 2 minutes because we are late. And you have an interest project of nursery in agribusiness sector. Just 2 words to explain what you are working on.
Okay. Did you see?
We see and hear you very clear.
Okay, very good. So briefly, because I have to be briefly, we start from one consideration that, and we are specialists in the production chain of processing tomato. And in our group, there are many companies capable to cover all the necessity that has one chain of production tomato processing. Our consideration is only one. In the world, the production of processing tomato is 37 million of tons, and Africa produce only 1.2 million. But normally the consumption is more high. Therefore, is convenient in this moment invest in processing tomato chain in Africa. We have had a relation with Zambia, with Cameroon, with Benin, where in this country, they are very interesting to do the production of processing tomato. The importance of the message that I want to give is don't do as Angola. Angola built 3 fabrics of tomato, but not all the production chain. So they have tree fabric, but not tomato in the field.
Great.
So the good way, I have to show one simple.
You can send me, and we will send later to all the participants.
Okay.
Okay. So
okay, what I want to say is that I am a consultant of the biggest processing tomato company in the world. The name is the Morningstar Company of California. They produce 10% of the tomato in the world. And I follow all the part related to the production of the transplanting plant necessary for start the production in the field. And I follow all the chain of the agriculture part.
Thank you, Giancarlo. I think that you will be contacted because also in the last webinar there was a great interest about tomato. So
okay,
we will give, if you allow us, we will give all your contacts to everyone.
Okay, please.
Thank you very much, and sorry for being so.
No problem.
Claudia, you have the floor.
Yes, we go.
Information about the.
Oh,
sorry.
I don't think. I think we have to go to the next. If we still have time, we can go back to agribusiness. But now I think we have to move to the wood sector, and I will give the floor to Robert Baigamba. I had the opportunity to present him before. So please, Robert, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. I hope now I'm on and you hear me?
Yes, yeah, very well.
Okay, yeah, all right. I hope that my presentation can be put on the screen. Yeah, thank you.
Can you see it?
Yes, I have. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, just, excuse me?
I will follow you. You just ask me to go.
All right. All right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I would like just to share with you key figures and trends, saying that 85% of our population in some way depends on forests and in their livelihood, and then 28,000 employments, of which 12,000 from the International Standard Industrialization Classification, 8,000 from manufacture of products of wood, and 8,500 for manufacture of furniture work in the woodworking sector. We have around 2,284 wood sector enterprise in the medium, small enterprises and cooperative, on which 21 are relatively large and totalize alone 51% of the total capital invested in the wood sector. And then we estimate around $3.1 billion demand for engineered woods and other wooden products over the next 10 to 20 years due to booming construction sector. So the wood sector has a big potential, as you can see, to become one of the major sources of farm employment, increased incomes, and a broader tax base for the country. Next. Yeah, next, just wanted to highlight the importance of the wood sector here, where we have on one side the organization, so how the wood sector is organized. We have the Rwanda Wood Value Chain Association under Private Sector Federation, and it takes, as it is said in the name, the whole players from the whole wood value chain, from seed to finished product for construction or furniture. And then we have in every district an integrated crafts production centers where you find almost all the cooperatives, micro level, that are organized within that integrated craft production centers, which are very effective to really build a kind of cluster at district level. And then we have a key partner today, GIZ, for the development of the wood sector in Rwanda, who have a lot of, the GIZ, the German corporation, have a big initiatives around how to get to organize the sector for the private sector, to link, of course, to portray and to conduct studies to understand the sector, to coordinate efforts between private and public sector. So, and then if you see on the right side, we have different policies to show that this is a sector that has really a focus, because first of all, there is a trend, as we have seen in Italy. I will come later on that. We have a made in Rwanda policy, and the wood sector is one of the key pillar among the wood policy. The Ministry of Commerce has enacted the Rwanda policy. The Ministry of Commerce also has developed a private sector development for youth and in employment strategy. The Ministry of Environment also have a Rwanda national forestry policy. The Ministry of Environment also had a forest investment program for Rwanda, and also a national tree reproductive material strategy from 1917 to 2026. The Ministry of Commerce also developed a national wood sector strategy for 2023. And then the Rwanda Wood Value Chain Association had developed also its own strategic plan for 2020-2022. Those are main documents where you can understand where government wants to go, and then how the private sector is ready to build the opportunity at hand. Then for the next slide, I wanted just to say in a nutshell, because we have very few time, what are the needs and gaps? We have an increased industrial timber production of Rwandan forests. We need to modernize tree harvesting and timber first processing. It's really at a very infant level. There is a possibility to develop a secondary timber processing, timber kiln drying, to start production of finger joints panel and CLT and beam. Then intermediary products for furniture industry. And then, of course, there is a big opportunity to upgrade the furniture industry itself. Very infant, I told when they mentioned to me, they introduced me, we Manu Metal, our company, started in 1967, but we are almost the oldest company, and then we are few companies. We need really strong innovation partnership to develop the industry of furniture here in Rwanda. And there is also opportunity to introduce certifications to promote the made in Rwanda wooden product. And then there is, of course, a big lack of local distributors for woodworking equipment. So there are needs around those 6 elements, and I really strongly advise companies in Italy that has that are in that sector to come and be part on this journey with the Rwandan government and the private sector as we are. So then the last, not least, in the beginning, we have heard that there is come and visit in Rwanda, but you encouraged to come and visit in Italy. I would like to say that we last year, thanks to GIZ again, we visited Italy in April from 10 to 18, and we had the chance to visit, in fact, the whole value chain, from the Wood Museum on the River 1920 Center, the luxury furniture production exhibition. We went to the Salone dei Mobili in Milano for the furniture. We visited saw milling and cogeneration of power plant. and the different. So we had the chance to have really a good understanding of Italy and Italian opportunity. So I would like to just with that to say that yes, there is an opportunity to be part of the wood growing sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much for your overwhelming presentation. I think that when we talk about wood, from wood to furniture, Italy has a lot to say, and I really hope that we can work together and cooperate more. Thank you also for mentioning the Made in Rwanda policy, because we know that the government is putting a lot of efforts to boost the local production, but we know that this can be done also through transfer of technology and of know-how. And this Italy, I think, we're ready to work together with Rwanda in this. Now I'd like to go to the tourism sector, sustainable tourism. And I'm really happy to have with us Daniele Kilgren. I had the opportunity to meet him here in Rwanda. He came several times, and he will present us a very nice project, also for the Italians, very interesting, 2 projects in Italy, and how, and so he will tell us how he'll export this concept also in Rwanda, of course, in a totally different context. But please listen to Daniele Kilgren, president of Group Sextantio. Please, Daniele. You have to unmute. You have to put the microphone.
Okay. Hi. Ciao, Claudia.
Ciao, Daniele.
Hello everybody, and thank you for having me with you all. And I try to be brief, but I hope to have a lot of questions about what we try to do. What we try to do, I don't think sustainable is really the right answer, because the idea is especially to keep the identity that, especially in Italy, in a lot of places after the Second War, has been destroyed by mass urbanification. So these places are usually very poor place that has been preserved in their integrity with the landscape just because they've been abandoned. So we try to preserve everything from the relation with the landscape, the interior decoration. We make a lot of studies with the Museum of Abruzzi's people, and with a lot of university, and we at the end decide to turn into a hotel as a final destination. But the idea is when we a lot of time, this is the village and the entire. Then we start in Matera, that in a way is a kind of stereotypes of even the food. We make a lot of history about the traditional food that is disappearing. This is Matera. In Matera was in Italy kind of stereotypes of abandoned and very poor historical heritage. We turn in a very conservative way into a hotel, and strangely enough, we have the higher price, even if it was the most poor part of Matera. We have the highest occupational rate for year and the highest price in the room. That's to mean that sometimes a cultural project to preserve a place can have even an effect on the economical side. Then actually my relationship with Africa is go back a long time ago. I come in Rwanda in the late 90s, and we I pay for a small hospital in Congo, close to the border with Rwanda, and then I came back with a motorcycle, and so I went to see a lot of hospital, and then I knew about the health insurance that So we started on 2008, and then in the Combo Island, so Lake Kivu between Rwanda and Congo, Democratic Republic, of course, Congo Kinshasa. And this is an island, and of course, I mean, as probably lots of you has been recognized, this comes from the Butare Ethnographic Museum. So we try to be very, very conservative, even here with the same approach. Of course, it's a no-profit thing. I mean, the money will go to the health insurance, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the idea is we're going to make a lot of money, maybe for a good reason, but because people, it's really looking for something that is very authentic in a way, where the identity doesn't disappear with the passing of the year. So the idea is, the last idea about, especially about Combo Island, is not to disrupt the fragile social balance with the people. Of course, it's going to be an economical opportunity with the people, but we try to be very welcome and to does not have any of some ill effect that a lot of resort in touristic resort bring in a lot of place in Africa. So from my personal experience. So I finished, but I hope to receive a question about what we're trying to do. And thank you again for inviting me.
Daniele, thank you. Thank you for sharing first of all, these nice pictures from Abruzzo and Matera. I've been in Matera. I can tell you it's an amazing place. UNESCO heritage. It's one of the best places I've ever seen in Italy, despite the fact they have so many. And also for sharing the picture of this new eco lodge. I'm really looking forward to go and visit when the time will allow us and go to Lake Kivu to see this place when it will be able to start, of course. So thank you very much, Daniele. If we have questions, I think we will keep it to the end, because I will like to give the floor to Diane Mukasaha, and I thank her for being very patient. Textile is not for sure the last sector in Rwanda, or on the contrary. Diana is a chairperson of Apparel Manufacturing Group, and also she's a woman, and it's just a coincidence that today she's the only woman apart from me, because who lives in Rwanda knows the strengths of women in Rwanda. Maybe you can also give us a perception on how is to work in Rwanda as a woman. Diana, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much.
Please, Daniela, just unmute you. You have to take the microphone off, please. Please, Diana.
Okay, thank you so much, Claudia. Thank you so much, the team, for considering textile and women in textile, especially. Myself, the chairperson of IMG. It's a group of 40 companies, small companies for women that are in textile. And I have also my own company that is in textile. So in Rwanda, we are thankful to our government, because they really consider the local made in these days, because the policy of Made in Rwanda is the one that is boosting us to do what we are doing today in textile. Yeah, if I may say that textile in Rwanda has like a raising a big picture in these two years. As I can say, mostly of our clothes were from outside the country. But after the government initiative of banning the second hand, they use the ones from outside. Now we are turning our ambitions to be manufacturers. So this is why we have set our own companies, production units for government. So the medicinal policy in tech
Lost the contact, I think.
I cannot see. Probably she had a connection problem. No, she's not here now. Okay, we can go with some of the questions.
Yes, Massimiliano, maybe Massimo, sorry, before going to question, can I would like to give the floor to Ambassador Massimiliano Mazzanti, because we have the pleasure to have him with us. Massimiliano Mazzanti is based in Uganda. Please, Massimiliano Mazzanti, you have, Ambassador, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Claudia. I really appreciate. Of course, much has been said. Thank you to Massimo Zaurini, of course, to Gianfranco for African Affairs. I'm actually pretty much with them. It happens quite often now with webinars we are doing. Let me just say very briefly, state what I've been listening at. Actually, is very much true. I'm happy that Asso Lombarda is part of the mechanism because, of course, small industry and small medium enterprises are much more suitable for the Rwandan business environment. And it's very much true what has been presented before by Kifaba and Absolute Energy. Indeed, the business environment in Rwanda, as I had the opportunity to explain a little bit more in an elaborate way last time on the 3rd of June, last webinar we did actually dedicated once again to Rwanda. It's pretty conducive to business, and there's the respect of rule of law, and eventually, much has been already said on the certainty and protection of business and investment environment in Rwanda. Nonetheless, let me stress the fact that let me commend in this case my friend Marco Gualtieri from Seed and Chips. Seeds and Chips, I wanted just to mention them because they did something that very pretty often actually Italian companies avoid to do, which is passing through the embassy, inform the embassy about the kind of business they're going to start to in Rwanda in this case, or in any other country in Africa. I wish to stress once again that it is true and clear that Rwanda presents a very conducive environment and pretty sure in the protection of investments. Nonetheless, of course, controversies raised sometimes, and Seeds and Chips from this point of view represents a very positive example of involving the embassy when you are about to make partnerships or investments in Africa of any kind, including Rwanda, which represents undoubtedly a Swiss example in comparison to the average African country in the continent. So that was all I had to say. I don't want to take more time about this, of course. I had the possibility to elaborate that last week at the previous webinar. So thank you again, Claudia, Massimo, and Gianfranco.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Can we go to some questions, maybe?
Yeah, we all want to our colleague, to the journalist, Mantoe. I permitted you talking. If you want to speak, you directly and pose your question.
Thank you very much. My name is Mando Pagati. I'm with the Interpress Services. I'd like to know what the challenges are, because I've actually learned a lot of what the opportunities are, but then in terms of green growth, in terms of the economy of Rwanda are transitioning to a green economy. But I'd like to also understand what challenges the business people are facing in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Claudia, I think this can be you as GGGI or REMA can answer to this question.
Yes, well, in terms of opportunity, then I will give the floor to the Deputy General Director of REMA, who can answer to some questions. In terms of opportunities, there are many. I have to say that the government is very, very sensitive in working in this direction to promote development. And when he talks about development, he always talks about green development. So it doesn't go alone. It goes always with this concept of greening what it's doing. Example is the airport. So green growth means, for example, whatever they do to be able to accompany with the measures linked to sustainability. The airport is one major example. It's one of the biggest infrastructure project now. And the objective of the government is to have the greenest airport in Africa. And we are working as GGI very closely with the government so that this achievement can be succeed. But there are many, many, many sectors. As we said, energy is one of the big opportunity, and the government is working hard to keep a big portion in renewable energy. Another sector that we didn't mention because we didn't have time, but there are so many things I like to mention. In agribusiness, there is a big challenge, which is the conservation of agricultural products, because we know that 30–40% of the product get lost before sale. So because there's no refrigeration system. So in the rural areas, it's a challenge to keep the products before reaching the market. So refrigeration system working with renewable energy is a big challenge. In energy, cooking is a big challenge. They use majority of the population is using charcoal and wood to cook for domestic purpose. This is a big problem for the environment and of course for the deforestation. And the government is working in the direction trying to support new technologies and new alternative fuels such as LPG, where possible, because of course we have to identify sustainability and business model, because in the rural areas the economical power is very, very low. So we have to identify business model who can be affordable for the rural community. Just to mention some transport, the government is working hard in the transport sector. They want to diversify. They already started with electric motorbikes. They introduced a certain number now, 20 motorbikes electric, because they want to replace the thousands and thousands of motorbikes that are going around Kigali, but also in the country. So working on e-transport is another big thing. Waste and electrical waste. Now we are having more and more devices, and we want to get rid of the devices, buy new devices. So how to get rid and how to reuse and recycle. So there are many things. I'm sure that, but the government is following all this very close. Green buildings. I could go on. Green buildings is another big engagement from the government. We mentioned before the green building compliance system. So if we have to grow in the construction sector, let's do it green. So this is another field or area of interventions. I think that the government is very open in supporting any investments if they go toward the direction of sustainability and green growth.
Great. Okay, I don't know, Gianfranco, do you think that we have other questions that we have to treat?
Well, there was the nice question about the health sector, but I don't know if actually Giovanni De Vita is...
No, Giovanni had to leave.
Has to leave.
Giovanni had to leave, yes.
I can see that Diane is now again.
So as we wait that Diane enter and connect well, let me spend 2 words on the work of Daniele Kilgren and Sextanzio, because I had the possibility to visit what he did in Italy, and really it's not just about business and tourism, it's more about culture and proudness of your history and traditions. And I think that a country like Rwanda that is so pays so much attention on all these things should be a great place out of Italy to start this kind of work. So really, I hope that from here can start something, because it should be great to see starting from there, but then I think also to other places in Africa, Stone Town in Tanzania, or Gore Island on the other side of the continent. You know, there are so many places where this kind of approach can be really, really powerful.
I can see that many questions have been answered directly by the...
But we owe also to Diane her speech. Claudia, what do you say? We are a little bit late, but Diana has to...
Diana is back. Yeah, Diana, would you like to take the
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Just to conclude on your intervention, please.
Yes, to conclude on my intervention is that textile sector in Rwanda is really good and is a nice sector that I can really invite all the people to be invest in, because it just creates more jobs. Like if I take like example of IMG, the group of companies, in just 1 year we have hired 500 people. So that means that it creates job, and there is a lot of opportunity in textile in Rwanda, even in the region, in the region. Because if you see the situation of Rwanda, we are just in between Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, and Congo, and now have seen different market of made garments in Congo, in Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania. So if there's some people from Tarian interested in textile in Africa, in Rwanda, please come. We are ready to work with you. We are ready. We are settled already. We have like 10 big factory that are willing to collaborate, to be in partnership with different people, especially in people from Italy.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane. The textile is really an important sector, as you mentioned, the phasing out of the import of secondhand clothing, open to a market and to boost the local production. But I realize there is a lot of interest for the Italian industry, of course, one of the most famous in the world, because Rwanda is not just looking for increase their production, but it also is looking at increasing quality and designing.
Yes.
And so I know that there is a demand of also of designers and fashion designers from Italy. So I really hope we can work also in this direction. Diana, thank you so much. I will give the floor to the Deputy Director General of the Environmental Management Authority, Mr. Faustin, who was with us also the first webinar last week, and REMA, the authority I remind is the leading of this initiative with the GGGI, and so I would like to thank you for the support in these webinars, and I give the floor to him for a closing remark. Please, Mr. Faustin.
It seems that has some problem with the audio. Doesn't even have the mic connected for the moment.
Yes, I saw an intervention. Oh no, I saw an intervention for the Commonwealth
yeah.
Rome. Yes, we know that we were supposed to have the Commonwealth Summit in a few days. It was cancelled, but I think they made a comment saying to contact them. It is postponed to next year, so this is a good news. And
okay, I think we have
contact with them.
Faustin now.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Maximiliano, Mr. Alexandro, Mr. Stephen, all presenters, all protocol observed. Good afternoon. On behalf of REMA management, I would like to thank all presenters for taking your time and sharing what you are doing here in Rwanda, but also what you're doing in Italy, which can inspire the business community in Rwanda. The objective of this webinar or business to business was to facilitate, to share the opportunities in both countries so that it can trigger some ventures, not only in the development sector, but also in the green investment here in Rwanda. I want to take this opportunity and thank GGGI, Global Green Growth Institute, Claudia, in here and the team. You have been very instrumental in preparing and coordinating this exercise, and we are very proud to see it succeeding and seeing even the first one, which was very useful. I want again to thank all participants here present on this webinar for their questions and interest in investing in both countries. Ambassador Maximiliano, I want again to reiterate our gratitude on behalf of the government of Rwanda. I want to thank the government of Italy for partnering with the government of Rwanda through the Ministry of Environment, and for providing all the necessary equipment so that we can materialize this agreement. This is like the beginning. It was sharing experience. We hope that in the near future, we'll see more investors partnering with Rwanda counterparts, investing in the green investment areas, as highlighted by some of the colleagues who presented. I concur with most of the presenters that when you are investing in the energy or in the agriculture, it's not just investing in that sector, but it is investing in the development in whole. So we need to shift from business as usual and embrace the green investment, which will help the country to implement the submitted climate action plan to the whole world, and it will also help to achieve the Vision 2050 of this country. Said so, without taking much of your time, I want to thank you very much and wish you all the best and welcome you to do business in Rwanda in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director General of REMA. I'm not sure if there is any more questions.
No.
Or, yeah, I think, okay, I think that we created a good network today, and so is, as we said already last time, it's a starting point of a discussion, of a dialogue, and GGGI is ready to support any follow-up on possible partnership and possible investments. So we are here with the government to support. I'd like to thank Africa Affari, because I think it was a long journey, but it ended up very, very well. And thank you so much for your professionality, your support, Gianfranco Belgrano and Massimo Zaurilli, for your the directors of the magazine. Thanks to Céline Nadler, who worked a lot, even late in the evening from behind. Thank you to all our speakers. Thank you to PSF for the support. Asso Lombarda, Alessandro Anginoli, thank you so much. Dear Ambassador, thank you for being with us again. It was really appreciated. We feel very close. You are not in this country, but it's like you were here. I hope that I didn't miss anybody, my colleagues in GGGI. That was really helpful. It was teamwork. Yeah, I think we can close our meeting here.
I want just to add one thing. You will receive a feedback survey link at the end of the webinar, and also in the next days with all the presentations. So please, it can help us to organize better webinars for the future. So if you can answer, it will help us very much. I just would like to say sorry if I started laughing before, but I received the joke from a friend, and it was very funny. So it was something outside. I'm so sorry. And thank you very much to everybody. Claudia, you are a great presenter and moderator. So we will hire you for next future.
Yeah, with pleasure. It's one of my first times, so I think I discovered a new profession.
So we can close, I think.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you to everybody.
So have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.